Johnson, the number 4 ranked passer in the NFL and the Bills' number 1 rusher, ready to attack the stingy Dolphin defense. In 3 home games, Miami has not given up a touchdown. It won't be easy for Johnson. Miami ready to go against their rivals from the north. Index is their 12th man, 91 degrees heat index. Bonnie Bernstein's in the midst of it all.
Hi, Dick. Well, how serious is Thurman Thomas about this game? Consider this: on Tuesday, the Dolphins' off day, Thurman was at the practice facility at 6:30 a.m. At 6:30 p.m., he was still there getting treatment on his groin and looking at film. Thomas is one of the offensive captains today. He was just at midfield for the coin toss. Just minutes ago, he said to me, the handshakes are over. Now it's time to go.
All right, thank you, Bonnie. And Thurman Thomas telling us, Dan Deerdorf, that he might well have retired, but it's an interesting story.
I have never heard a player say the only reason that I am playing this season is to prove a point. And that's what Thurman Thomas told us on Friday. I would have retired if the Bills would have just asked me to.
Steve Christie short toward the sidelines, and Audrey Denson lets it go out of bounds. Wow. And Miami will begin at the 40-yard line. What a break.
Whoa. What a mistake.
3 yards from the kickoff spot.
Well, the Bills are worst in the league in allowing yards to return on kickoffs, 35.7, so trying to stay away from that as Jay Fiedler comes on the field, the Ivy Leaguer from Dartmouth, 55%, 6 touchdowns and 5 interceptions. And he has his team, most importantly, 4-1 and 4-0 unbeaten as a starter here at home.
But make no mistake, it is the last ranked passing game in the National Football League.
Against a team that handles the rushing defense as well as anyone in the league. And the first carry and a fumble, but I believe after the whistle, as Lamar Smith goes down, as Henry Jones came up from the safety quickly to close the hole.
Well, you saw Dale Hamer, the head linesman, come over and point to the ground. And you could see that the elbow came down, and that's a good call. I believe he was down. His arm with the ball hit the ground, and then the ball came out.
Lamar Smith, the leading Dolphin rusher, 343 yards and 3 touchdowns. 2nd and 9. Deion Dyer at fullback in motion. The fake to Smith. The throw complete to the Buffalo 39-yard line. Oronde Gadsden with a leaping catch in front of Ken Irvin. Here's the offensive line for Miami: Webb, Dixon, Ruddy, Donnelly, and Wade. Smith and Dyer in the backfield. Shepard and Gadsden outside. Hunter Goodwin, the tight end, no huddle. And the give to Smith, and he struggles to the 35-yard line. And a gain of 3 before Keith Newman can make the tackle. And see if Fiedler and the Dolphins go no huddle again. Apparently they will. A flag is down.
Well, Dick, I don't think there's any doubt that that post pattern to Oronde Gadsden surprised the Buffalo Bills. The Miami Dolphins have shown nothing along those lines as far as being aggressive passing the ball. Wade Phillips, whose career was a defensive coordinator prior to becoming a head coach, I know is not expecting Miami to fill the air with footballs. I think that caught them on their heels.
Thurman Thomas is in the backfield now for Miami. He gets the call and bowls his way close to a first down at the 28. And you know the adrenaline was charging through this veteran's veins.
Well, Thurman Thomas did a really nice job of running the football, but his offensive line, look at the surge as they blow this huge Buffalo Bill defensive line off the football. What a great job by Dixon and Ruddy and Donnelly in the middle of that Miami offensive line. You do not see Ted Washington and company getting taken off the line of scrimmage very often.
3rd down and 1. Miami inside the Bills' 30-yard line. Thomas still at tailback. Thurman again. Big hole. Or check that, Lamar Smith gets the call this time. The decoy, Thomas. First down for Miami. Here are the Bills defensively. Hanson, Washington, and Wiley in the 3-4 alignment. The linebackers, a good quartet of Rogers, big time, Holosek and Newman. In the secondary, Antoine Winfield, small but a tough tackler, Carpenter, Jones, and Irwin. Thurman Thomas back in. First down at the 25 of Buffalo. Fake to Thomas, a reverse to Autry Denson, well read by Buffalo, but nice running by Denson, the former star at Notre Dame. Grew up just adjacent to the Miami practice facility in Davie.
Well, this was Denson had been in motion and then peels off from around the corner and actually brings the football up initially like he was going to throw the football. There's Henry Jones right there, who comes up and makes a good open field tackle, but you can see Denson, he brought the ball up around his shoulder pads and made it look initially like he was going to try to pass.
Second down and 4. Dyer and Smith now behind Fiedler, and it's Lamar Smith behind the block of Dyer. He has a first down, it would appear, at the 15-yard line. Sam Cowart, leading tackler for the Bills with 60 on the season, played at Florida State, made the stop. First down.
Well, this is making Dave Wannstedt happy. Power football. Sam Cowart, he's rivaling Zach Thomas and Ray Lewis for that role of best inside linebacker in the AFC, certainly. Great pursuit. And of course, Sam finds a comfort level here playing in Florida. He played his college ball at Florida State.
Tony Martin out for 3 games, makes his first appearance today. He's the deep ball threat for the Dolphins, although they're in short range territory. And the give is to Deion Dyer. Dyer's first ever NFL carry. Matt, it's Smith behind Dyer. And down to the 10-yard line, the veteran from the University of Houston goes.
Well, keep in mind now, the Buffalo Bills have only been allowing 66 yards a game rushing. And I'm telling you right now that Wade Phillips is a little shocked at the way his defensive line is being manhandled here on this opening possession by Miami. They are being taken off the line of scrimmage.
51 yards and 8 plays from the opening kickoff. It's Smith trapped in the backfield, but trying to battle his way back to the line of scrimmage. Phil Hansen, the veteran from North Dakota State, was the first man there with Wiley and company helping out.
Well, Phil said enough of this, Dick. He said, I'm going to get some upfield penetration, and that's exactly what Hansen did. You look at Phil Hansen and you think, geez, he's just not a thick enough, heavy enough guy to play defensive end. Yet for a decade, not only is he's not just holding on, this guy has played football at a high level.
Has a couple of sacks this year. Grew up on a big farm in Oaks, North Dakota. Third down and 7 for Miami. Fiedler underneath, incomplete, off the fingertips of Tony Martin. John Holisek covering the linebacker for Buffalo, and that brings on the field goal unit.
Well, Jay Fiedler gets a good look at what's going on. Of course, this isn't happening very far from him. Martin hesitates, and Jay Fiedler expected him to be about another yard or so more to Fiedler's right.
Dave Wannstedt, the 48-year-old head coach now, after being the assistant head coach under Jimmy Johnson last year, watches Olindo Mari set up for a 30-yard, might be 29 officially, field goal, and Mari high and long and right down the middle. He's 8 for 8 on the season in his field goal tries. Miami strikes first, 3-0.
Miami gets ready to kick off after the Olindo Mari field goal. Remember, it all started because of the kickoff out of bounds from the 40-yard line. Dick's microphone has taken a hiatus, so I am now play-by-play and color. Little does he know, Chris Watson here on the return, and he's smothered up around the 25-yard line. Little does Dick know that it was me who unplugged his microphone. The Dolphins up 3-0.
And here we go. Dan Deerdorf and his sidekick Dick Enberg here at Pro Players Stadium. Ball at the 25-yard line. Bill's first chance. Rob Johnson at the controls. And And the handoff is to Sean Bryson. Not much there at all as that tough, fast Miami defense. Bowens and Haley there to make the stop. Rob Johnson, 61% completion, 7 touchdowns, and just 2 interceptions this year. Sacked some 16 times, however. He said he's feeling better than he was last time we saw him 3 weeks ago against New York, when he was a walking bandage.
He had a bad knee. That's better. His nerve in his left leg is better, but the tendonitis in his right elbow, he said, is there for the entire season.
Johnson's first throw, he fires complete out to the 33-yard line, and it's caught by Eric Moulds, who is the leading Bills receiver. Fina, Brown, a Pro Bowler, Ostrowski, Nails, and Hicks, the big forward wall for Buffalo. Jonathan Litton starting with Sheldon Jackson, the H-back, Moulds and Price outside, and Bobby Collins for the injured Jay Riemersma at tight end. On 3rd down 2, Trace Armstrong, the Dolphins sack specialist, comes in, and Johnson from the shotgun. Down the sidelines to Moulds, who catches it on the run at the 35. He's down. Beautiful throw, Johnson to Moulds, who's had some of his biggest games against Miami. 32 yards.
Well, Terrence Shaw is the corner because in a passing situation, Shaw goes out to play the outside corner. Surtain moves inside on the slot. And this is just Moulds fighting his way past Terrence Shaw, who looked to me like he was expecting Moulds to break off a shorter route. He knew he had some safety help, but it was a lot deeper than that.
Moulds now at 28 catches in 4 games plus this quarter. Jonathan Linton with a handoff, and he's to the 33-yard line. A gain of nearly 3. Zach Thomas and company making the tackle. Robert Jones, 52, extricated out of the pile as well.
Mixon and Reuben Brown were going at it a little bit there, Dick.
All right, the Dolphins defensively, and what a start for them on that side of the ball. Mixon, Bowens, Jermaine Haley starts inside. Jason Taylor, a touchdown with a fumble return at Cincinnati last week. Rogers, Thomas, the leading tackler, and Jones at the backers. Surtain and Madison, a great pair of corners. Marion and Walker, 2 hard-hitting safeties. 2nd and 7. Johnson. Incomplete, just off the fingertips of Fearless Price. That Surtain on the coverage for Miami.
Well, in Surtain and Sam Madison, the Miami Dolphins may have the best pair of corners in football. That was a throw by Rob Johnson that really was in about the only place where he could put it, because it was good coverage by Surtain. Anything underthrown, and Surtain had a shot at the INT.
3rd down and 7. This is where Miami particularly tough. 3rd down defense, 3rd best in the league. 28% first downs allowed. Johnson almost had it taken out of his hand, and then he has to eat it at the 40-yard line. Jason Taylor and Rich Owens.
Well, Jason Taylor is doing a lot of celebrating, but Jason Taylor, even though he's the first one there, misses Rob Johnson. Watch Taylor. He goes right on by him, and if it wasn't for the fact that Rich Owens comes in to clean it up, Rob Johnson would have escaped that initial attempt at a tackle by Jason Taylor.
And that takes Buffalo out of any thoughts of a field goal, as in to punt is Chris Moore, the veteran, and Jeff Ogden is back for Miami. Very high wobbler that Ogden lets go. And inside the 5-yard line, down by Fred Jones. Now Miami with the early lead here in South Florida, 3-0.
If you want to find out what's happening around the National Football League, it's as easy as logging on to NFL.com. Wonderful website. You can access every team in the NFL, find out what's going on with your favorite players, or in this case, find out what's going on with Dick Enberg's headset.
All right, we're back on the spare again. From the 4-yard line, and Fiedler out of his own end zone and scrambles out to the 10-yard line. Had a 30-yard run last week at Cincinnati. John Holisek makes the tackle. And there was a dangerous moment there for Fiedler. He raised his arm back, and there was a bill right behind him.
Initially, it looked solid in the middle, but just from behind, you could see he's getting a little flush out of the pocket. But Jay Fiedler, so impressive. Sam Rogers was, I think, the pressure that Jay felt when he left the pocket. Wade Phillips said very clearly, we would like to make Jay Fiedler be the guy that has to win this game, but we prefer he does it from the pocket, not out of it.
2nd down and 4, and Lamar Smith caught by an ankle as he lunges forward to the 12-yard line. Big Pat Williams from Texas A&M. He and Ted Washington, the package, those giant defensive tackles in the middle of the Buffalo defense.
And I would expect to see the package today a little more than usual because of the fact that Miami relies so heavily on the run. And when Williams and Washington are in the game together, you better plan on running wide. Now, Williams will also rotate in their normal defense for Ted Washington, especially on a hot day.
Dolphins want to run the ball, as you saw for that statistic. Fiedler in trouble, and Keith Newman with a sack inside the 5-yard line. Newman, who leads the Bills, has his 4th sack of the season.
Well, and Keith Newman comes off the corner and is completely untouched. Both Miami, the tight end and the back, just decide to let Newman go. That appeared to be some confusion because Jay Fiedler didn't act like he was expecting a hot read as quickly as he had with Newman right in his face.
So punting out of his own end zone, Matt Turk, who is averaging 45 a kick, had a 70-yarder last week. This is short, however, very short. Takes a backward bounce and touched at the 32-yard line. 28-yard punt. So the Buffalo Bills' great field position will be at the 30-yard line when we return. And the Miami Dolphins with a 3-0 lead with 3:14 left in the quarter. And a reminder, the second half of our doubleheader coming up out on the west. Most of you will see Oakland and San Francisco, the rivals across the bay. Seattle, Carolina, Denver, San Diego, Cleveland at Arizona. Rob Johnson and the Bills take over at the 29-yard line. Officially a 25-yard Matt Turk punt. And the handoff inside to Sammy Morris. They like this young rookie from Texas Tech. Morris, who's 6 feet tall and 228 pounds. Say he's got great hands. They saw that immediately in training camp, and they'll try to get him in the pass flow.
Well, it's really a change at the fullback position rather for Buffalo. Remember, it was Sam Gash, who's really his forte, lead blocker extraordinaire. But Sammy Morris, not only effective running, he's an effective receiver. He's got 8 receptions on the year, so an evolving part of the Buffalo offense at fullback.
On 2nd and 9, Johnson scrambling and dumps it off to Linton, and that's good for only a couple of yards to the 26-yard line. Bonnie?
All right, Dick, Scott Gallions, the linebacker who filled in for Zach Thomas last week, but on Miami's last defensive series, he suffered a knee injury. He's out for the game.
All right, not good news for Gallion, the linebacker from Tennessee, free agent selection this year from the New York Giants.
And Zach Thomas with an ankle that's not 100% now. He's even more pressure for Zach to stay in this game.
3rd down, 8. Johnson firing down the middle. Wide open was Bobby Collins, but couldn't quite get both mitts on the ball.
Well, good coverage. Jerry Wilson was the Miami defensive back, and he's in this position about a yard behind Collins. Whoa, and look at that. If that ball was about 6 inches a little closer to Collins, that looks like a catch that he could have had.
And would have been able to roll into the end zone. So in comes veteran Steve Christie to try to tie it up. This will be a 45-yard attempt. Christie drives it through, and we have a tie game at 3-all. Christie 9 for 11 field goal attempts on the season. Bills and Dolphins tied late in the first quarter. Buffalo's frustration inside the 35-yard line, unable to get anything but a field goal, continues. He had 6 of those last week against the Colts. Christie's kick is short, taken by Autry Denson at the 15-yard line. To the 30 and out to the 37. Rayon Hill, the tackler. Tuesday on CBS, a plan to kill the president of Russia is uncovered. Now the fate of the free world at stake, and every second counts. Don't miss an all-new Jag Tuesday on CBS. Autry Denson 23 yards on the short kickoff and gets the Dolphins in good field position. Thurman Thomas and Autry Denson now in the backfield. Total offense only 5 yards rushing for the Bills, and they felt they had to run the ball effectively today to get a much needed win. Fiedler caught by Gadsden, and he's down at the 45-yard line, and as he falls forward may have the first down.
And I really like the call by Chan Gailey, the offensive coordinator of the Dolphins, of allowing Jay Fiedler to go ahead and throw the football on first down. Just a simple hook pattern there by Gadsden against Antoine Winfield. But I think A, you're telling your quarterback that you trust him, and B, you just can't become so predictable and so vanilla in your passing game that the other teams are swarming you when you do pass.
Second and short. Thurman Thomas darting to the 49. First down Miami. Sam Coward first there for the Bills defense with Pat Williams on the tackle. Young looking legs on that carry, didn't he?
Thurman moving the chains and letting everybody here at the stadium know that that's exactly what happened. Of course, Thurman Thomas, no stranger to successful games. Check out his career highs over the years. If you'll notice, not one of those has come since '95. After that point, Thurman's threat mainly was out of the backfield as a receiver.
Thurman with a carry, hit right at the line of scrimmage, and no gain, as burrowing in was the big man Pat Williams, and when he gets his 310 pounds plus on you, tough to run.
And a whole lot of talking going on right now. They're going to get a chance here at the end of the quarter. They can keep this up for a couple minutes.
Now the final seconds tick away. A pair of field goals, 30 yards by Maury, and the answer by Christie, 45 to tie. And we're back for the start of the second quarter here at Pro Players Stadium. 75,000 plus sold out. Some cloud cover, and that's a blessing for players and fans. Temperature very close to 90 and humidity at about the same level. As we open the second period, the Dolphins are right at midfield, second down and 9. Leslie Shepard in motion. 3 wide receivers, and then Thurman Thomas out to the 46-yard line. That'll bring up third down and 6, and multiple substitutions for the Bills. 4 new blue shirts come on the field defensively. Thurman wearing his age on his uniform, number 34. And indeed said they might well be playing golf, that in a way it was in spite to the Bills that they let him go. He said he could have retired gracefully. Ralph Wilson did call him this past week and apologized that there wasn't a more personal relationship in that termination. They were like father and son. Both agreed to that. Throw by Fiedler underneath won't be enough for the first down. Caught by Oronde Gadsden, but right there was Jones and Greer defensively for Buffalo. Fourth down.
And again, you saw some pressure coming around the corners, but Fiedler had room to step up. Marcellus Wiley was putting some heat on him, and again, though, that is just indicative of this new version of the Miami Dolphins in this post-Marino era. It is going to be a very conservative passing game by Jay Fiedler. They're going to run the football and hope their defense plays well enough to win.
Kick by Turk. Chris Watson will let it go. Trent Gamble down the field, and the rookie saves it for the Dolphins. Well done by Gamble, a free agent rookie. A 40-yard kick by Turk.
Takes a little athleticism to sprint 40 yards, look over your shoulder, find the football, and bat it back into the field of play. That's exactly what Trent Gamble did, and this rookie from Wyoming, Dave Wanstead, telling us, and this is pretty lofty praise, Dick, reminded him of Bill Bates, the longtime special teams king of the Dallas Cowboys.
That is a high compliment. And here are the Bills, who have rushed 3 times for only 5 yards, starting at their own 3. Johnson throwing, and has a wide open man downfield. Eric Moulds, and can't hit him. Oh my, that could have been a 97-yard strike. Moulds was open behind Sam Madison.
He most certainly was, and a tremendous play action fake and block at the line. But Madison, looking into the backfield, bites all over the play action, and boy, you're right. If that ball would have been in the field of play and Moulds catches that in stride, he's still going all the way up to Boca.
Those are the kinds of plays that the Bills hoping they'll make. They've not been able to find them in the first 4 games. On 2nd and 10, the give to Linton. He finds a hole to the 10 and pulls his way out to the 15 and a first down. A reminder to get live updates for each NFL game as it happens. Just click on live scores at cbs.sportsline.com.
When you're deep in your own territory like the Bills were, drives and their success are measured by first downs. And that was a really power job by the Dolphins of moving the chains.
Again. 12-yard gain, one of the longest of the season. The give now is to Bryson, and he's able to get maybe a yard. It's 3-3 here in South Florida. What do you have for us, Jim Nance?
Only a field goal in the Jets-Steelers game. It was set up by this pick by Dwayne Washington. You notice it's Ray Lucas at quarterback, though, Dick. As Vinny Testaverde on the first play of the game suffered a pinched nerve in his neck. We're not sure he'll return. Washington's INT sets up the field goal. Let's go back down to Miami.
All right, thanks, Jim. Of course, the Jets with an 8-game winning streak, 4 this year, 4 at the end of last year. But will they have Testaverde?
And both of these teams have become big Steeler fans today.
The pass is to Sammy Morris, and Morris, the rookie from Texas Tech, is out to the 20-yard line, where it'll be 3rd down and 5. Sam Madison and Jason Taylor there on the tackle.
Such wonderful team speed on this Miami defense, but they have to make a change when they play the Bills now. When it was Sam Gash at fullback, you did not ever consider the fact that he was going to be a part of the passing game. Not so with Sammy Morris. Sammy Morris is a part of it now, and his role will grow week by week.
Ball spotted at the 21, so it's 3rd and 4. Johnson. And no flag yet. There it comes, a late flag as Sam Madison was wrestling with Jeremy McDaniel.
And there's a flag back at the quarterback. We've got roughing the passer. So we've got 2 flags. We got a flag in the secondary and a flag roughing the passer back at the QB.
Now, Buffalo apparently will come out of this with a first down plus. Bernie Kukar is our referee today, as Wannstedt and his counterpart Wade Phillips look on.
Trying to figure out which of the penalties takes precedence over the other.
And the personal foul might be tacked on to the interference here.
The double whammy.
Pass interference, 29 defense. That penalty is declined. Roughing the passer, number 99 defense. That penalty is accepted. 15-yard first down.
Jason Taylor with the roughing the passer.
All right, Jason Taylor is coming from the far side. That's him working against John Fina, and that is it. It's a blow right to the face of Rob Johnson. No doubt about that. He catches Johnson right on the face mask with a forearm. And in this NFL, a blow to the head of any player, but especially a quarterback, will bring laundry coming from all directions.
And they take the bigger penalty yardage to the 36-yard line. First down, Buffalo. In this 3-3 tie, Johnson has it deflected, incomplete. Rich Owens with a big right arm, the 5-year vet from Lehigh.
Well, if he didn't, he's certainly taking credit for it, Dick. There's Owens right there, number 96, and that was no accident. That's just good eye-hand coordination. He sees he's not getting pressure on the QB. timed it out pretty well and got his hand right on it.
Owens, who last year had 8.5 sacks and a couple of forced fumbles. 2nd and 10, and the handoff and a fumble, and I believe recovering his own fumble was the ball carrier Sammy Morris, or as Trace Armstrong, big play Armstrong in his 12th year from Florida, had his hands on the ball carrier and the ball.
Well, Sammy, the rookie, got a veteran bounce right here, right off his knee, and his momentum took him right to the football. Sammy, I got news for you. That won't happen very often. That is a fortuitous bounce of the football for the Bills and Morris.
Armstrong continues to play great big game defense. 3rd down and long. Johnson firing, intercepted by Surtain, who is tackled back at the 45. A flag is down, and will it count?
Well, now we've got secondary flags coming in. Now, we had interference, and it might even be offensive interference. There's no telling. There was a lot of contact taking place down here. Jeremy McDaniel was the receiver. But there was another set of flags that came in after, I think, a couple blows were thrown afterwards.
Terran Shaw was the Dolphin in the mix.
Yeah, I think we're going to, this will probably be interference against the Dolphins, even though there was a lot of.
And both penalties, well, double personal foul. Those will negate each other. But a legal check early against.
And that's what Wade is.
Illegal contact, 22 defense. We got personal foul. 24 defense. Personal foul, 80 offense. Those penalties offset. We will replay the down. 3rd down.
Well, Terran Shaw, this is the one that counts.
Yeah, there's McDaniel working against Shaw. Shaw comes in. He's called for illegal contact. I don't know why that's illegal contact instead of interference. And then after the play, you got Molds and Jerry Wilson. Well, geez, they called Jerry Wilson. That's Brian Walker, who actually comes in and levels Eric Molds. And there's the
Jerry Wilson does get his touch.
Yeah, but it was all started by Brian Walker.
So 3rd down and 8. Johnson smothered. 3 Dolphins and a fumble on the play. Taylor, Armstrong pinching in on the quarterback from each wing.
Nothing new about that. Jason Taylor, who last week almost single-handedly beat Cincinnati. You see Bernie Kukar signaling that Buffalo retains possession. Jason Taylor around the corner, gets it again. Look at him, gets around John Fina and goes right for the football. And while he's swatting at the football, Trace Armstrong puts the hit on Rob Johnson. This is a classic defensive end. Meet me at the quarterback. The ball came out, and again, Buffalo kept it.
19th sack for the Dolphins, number 2 in the NFL, behind Tampa Bay's 22 at the start today.
And Armstrong and Taylor, Dick, are just killing people all year.
Moore's kick is to Leslie Shepard, 25-35, and chopped down at the 36-yard line. A 47-yard punt, 6 on the return. It remains tied, 3-all.
Well, we knew this was going to be a physical game. Check out Darrell Porter, Trent Gramble taking that all the way out of bounds. And you know it's a physical game when even Chris Moore, the punter, comes in and gets excited. You know, Buffalo won both games last year between these two teams. A lot of people here in South Florida thought that the Dolphins were bullied and pushed around by the Bills. And they've kind of been challenged by Dave Wannstedt on down that we're going to fight today.
Taking over at the 36th, Miami, and his 3-all tie, and Fiedler hands off to Lamar Smith, and the big running back carrying the pile with him out close to the 40-yard line. Right at the beef in the middle of that Buffalo line, Washington and Williams.
I think these two coming into this game think that they are battling for physical supremacy of this AFC East. Buffalo, I think believes that they've had the title uncontested for several years as far as when it comes to smash mouth, smack you in the face football. And Miami right now has said, we are not a finesse team any longer. We'll fight it out with anybody.
Thurman Thomas behind Fiedler and Tony Martin back in the game. This throw, however, goes toward Oronde Gatson, and it was overthrown. Well covered by Ken Irvin. Next Sunday, super starts of the ladies tour, including Julie Inkster, Kari Webb, Laura Davies, Betsy King, Kelly Robbins, Annika Sorenstam, and defending champion Seri Pak are expected at the Samsung World Championship here on CBS. Gatson, who has caught 10 passes the last 2 games, has a couple today, leads Miami with 15. Make that 3 now. Catches for Gatson this afternoon. As Fiedler, 3rd down and 6. Going for Gatson again. Or is it Martin? And Martin draws the foul on Ken Irvin. A jump ball, and Irvin couldn't stay with the speedy Tony Martin.
Same pattern, same part of the field, 2 different contestants.
Go tell him. That's a first down.
And Tony Martin, this is what he brings back to this Miami offense. The threat of him going deep. Martin is really the only real deep threat for this Miami club. And right there working against number 27, Kenny Irvin. And Kenny Irvin not playing the football, just goes right up into the chest of Tony Martin. Look at that with his left hand. Has no idea where the ball is. And as a defensive back, that is just, you might as well hang out a sign that says, please throw the flag. I'm not playing the ball.
25-yard penalty to the Buffalo 35. Fiedler fake to Autry Denson, and a throwback to Thurman Thomas, the 25, and he bolts to the 21.
Oh, what a good-looking screen. Outstanding blocking out front. What a beautiful block by Tim Ruddy, the center. Boy, you don't see screens set up much better than this. First of all, they fake the run, they fake the reverse, and then all the way. There's Ruddy's block right on the left. Look at him upend Sam Cowart. Out on the other side, Mark Dixon. Boy, that's a good-looking screen. And Thurman Thomas finishes it off.
15-yard play and a first down Miami at the 20 of the Bills. It's tied at 3 here in the second quarter, 8 minutes before the intermission. And now Lamar Smith, and he pulls his way for a couple to the 18 into the thick of that Buffalo Bills defense that is number 1 in the NFL coming in, and the fewest first downs allowed, only 12 rushing. And there's a big reason why. Big in many ways, number 92, Ted Washington, the 10-year veteran from Louisville.
And when Ted's not in, Pat Williams comes in, and he's almost the same size. If you can believe it, that is a newer, slimmer, more streamlined version of Ted Washington, who's probably a good 40 pounds lighter than he was a year ago.
Fiedler in and out and back into the hands of Lamar Smith, who carries close to the 15-yard line before Cowart makes yet another tackle with Holisack. Here's Sam Cowart, who went to Craig James Broadcast School for a week this past off season down in Dallas. Our partner on
Who's Craig
NFL
James?
Today.
Oh, that's
Maybe we could all get some lessons and get a free week down in Dallas.
Craig has had that broadcasting school going in Dallas for a number of years. Craig, how's this? Free advertising, man. You can't beat this.
3rd down and a short 5. Fiedler, good protection, throws incomplete at the 8-yard line, trying to hit Leslie Shepard. Pass wasn't there. Antoine Winfield, good coverage. Number 1 pick a year ago out of Ohio State for the Buffalo Bills.
Well, Jay Fiedler trying to find something, but this is just outstanding coverage. Winfield is just smothering Shepard. Took away everything, and there was absolutely zero chance of a completion on that throw.
Orlando Mare made good on his first attempt from 30. He's trying to keep that perfect string alive. He's 8 for 8 on the season. This one 33 yards. He's got a live leg. Miami reclaims takes the lead. 6:26 remaining in the first half. It's 6-3.
He's off left tackle and he walks into the end zone from 10 yards away.
And there's an avenue for the bus, and the bus says, I'll take that avenue. It's easy street.
The NFL today.
That's a bad call.
On every frequency, he makes no sense.
They were going to knock you in the mouth.
Sundays on CBS.
Miami Dolphins 4-1. They've given up only 2 touchdowns all season, and they've outscored their opposition 39-6 in the second quarter. They go 49 yards and set up the 33-yard field goal. Melinda Mari, who is a perfect 9 for 9 field goal kicking this year. Chris Watson and Sean Bryson are deep for Buffalo. Mari's kick to Watson at the 7. Fired from the Denver Broncos, eludes one big hit, gets to the 24. Well, Dan, we should have Olivia Newton-John singing "Let's Get Physical" as a background of this game.
And this is no surprise, Dick. You knew this was coming. It's the Thurman Bowl. Plus, keep in mind, the last time these two teams played was last year up in Buffalo. Buffalo just hammered the Miami Dolphins, beat them up. Jimmy Johnson's take was they just beat the expletive deleted out of us. So you knew this was coming, and boy, we're not even to halftime yet. We've had a couple mini brawls, one good one, and I think more to come.
6:15 to go in the second quarter. 6-3 Miami. And Johnson with the handoff to Jonathan Linton, and Linton runs into that defense that just seems to be on the ball carrier constantly. Let's go to NFL Today for this update.
All right, Dick, there have been reports that Corey Dillon is on the trading block for a second or a third round pick. His value may have just gone up because he's into the secondary of Tennessee. He'll fight off the tackle and go 80 yards to give the Bengals the lead over the Titans in the second quarter. Let's go back to Dick and Dan.
Yeah, Corey Dillon, what an addition he would be as he tries to break the Bengals' 4-game losing streak to start the season. Second down and 10. And hit in the backfield, the ball carrier, Sean Bryson. And big Tim Bowen's 320 pounds in early on Bryson. Bonnie?
All right, Dick, one of the more physical guys on Miami's defense, Jason Taylor, his 2 half sacks today bring his total up to 5. He only had 2.5 in all of last year. Dave Wanstead credits a lot of that to an improvement in Taylor's technique. He says he does a lot of rip and swim moves now. Taylor says, I'm a little guy in a big man's game. I need any advantage I can get. I'm only 260 pounds.
Yeah, but Bonnie, he outruns all the Miami linebackers, and they're not exactly slow. On 3rd and long, underneath, incomplete, intended for Peerless Price. So Price continues to add very little to this offense. Has only 9 catches all season long. He's been frustrated as well.
Well, you can almost see Rob Johnson change his mind about halfway through that delivery when he saw the coverage coming in on Price. He looked like he almost intentionally just threw that into the ground. That's a pretty nice job by a quarterback making an adjustment on the fly.
Chris Moore to punt, and will deliver from around his own 10 to Leslie Shepard at the Miami 35. Just does get it away. Shepard backpedals to the 33, to the 40, and knocked out of bounds by Kwame Cavill at the 43. A 45-yard punt, 10 on the return. Land of great water sports and a network with some great football today. There's the second game of our doubleheader coming up. Check your local listing as Zach Thomas gets a re-bandage job on that injured ankle missed last week. Ball at the 43. Miami leading 6-3. 4.5 minutes remaining in this first half, and the toss is to Lamar Smith, and he's across the 45-yard line and runs into Sam Cowart with Holasek backing up.
And that is very significant as we saw Zach Thomas getting taped up again, because keep in mind Scott Gallion, his backup, is out for the rest of the game. He's already gone into the locker room because of a knee injury. Zach did not play against Cincinnati last week, has been a little tender during practice, telling us I'm playing. Zach is the kind of a guy, I'm playing. That's all there is to it. I am playing, and this ankle won't stop me.
On 2nd down and 7. It's Smith again, and you could hear the pads as Holasek and Ted Washington and Phil Hansen all in on the stop.
Well, if it's a passing situation, this is what Buffalo wants. If they can force Jay Fiedler to have to make something happen.
Thurman Thomas in. As you see, Dolphins only good on 1 of 5. Flag down, and wide open is Bert Emanuel, and Emanuel tackled at the 15-yard line by Antoine Winfield. Will it count? $35-yard play if.
Offside, the defensive left end.
It counts.
Penalty is declined. First down.
Well, Antoine Winfield is arguing that he was the victim of a pick. Bert Emanuel is the second receiver. He starts in the slot, and you see he actually does. I believe he runs into Oronde Gadsden, and that's what gets Winfield in a chase position. And that is why Antoine Winfield just went directly to the official and complained bitterly that he was picked on that play.
And time is called by Fiedler. The Dolphins have the ball in a 6-3 game at the Buffalo 17.
Hey, number 18, Peyton Manning. Hello, Archie Manning's son. This guy eats, sleeps, and drinks football. He's like, study, practice, study, practice. From the volunteer state is right, volunteer to kick some defensive butt. And...
No, let me guess. He drinks my stuff, huh?
Booyah! Gatorade. Battle tested, champion approved. But we're not going to finish? Come on, Mike.
Miami using the first of its 3 timeouts as they've driven to the 17 of the Bills have the 6-3 lead, and Fiedler throwing the ball effectively. Dan 6 for 9, 86 yards for the Dolphin quarterback.
And Ted Cottrell, the defensive coordinator, and one of this guy is good, folks. This guy isn't average. This guy isn't okay. This guy is totally excellent as a defensive coordinator. I think deserves a shot at a head coaching job.
Fiedler intercepted and then dropped in the end zone. Intended for the tight end Jed Weaver, and Keith Newman with good coverage. A flag is down in the secondary of the Bills. And illegal contact is the call.
Illegal contact, 52 defense. That's a 5-yard penalty, first down.
John Holasek, 52.
Well, that's Keith Newman, number 53, who's actually running in coverage. That is not where the penalty is called. You can't do it any better than Keith Newman did it right there, running with Jed Weaver. You just can't do it any better than there. The call on Holasek was away from the ball.
Give to Lamar Smith in the thick of that Buffalo defense at the 10-yard line. Washington and Wiley in on the stop. Lots of talking you can hear from our field microphones that considerable amount of banter between these two teams. Brings up 2nd down at the 10-yard line with 8 yards, a short 8. Smith has been the leading rusher for Miami, 31 yards and 12 carries. Fiedler gonna scramble. Beautiful running, a flag down, and so is Fiedler at the 4. And the head linesman or the umpire threw the flag, so that usually is a holding on one of the big boys up front in the offensive line.
And so many times as an offensive lineman, you end up holding somebody because all of a sudden, unsuspecting to you, the guy in front of you changes direction.
Holding, 65 offense, 10-yard penalty, still 2nd down. That is the 2-minute warning.
Kevin Donnelly is ticketed, former lineman himself. Dave Wanstead was a tackle at the University of Pittsburgh.
The Fighting Irish of Notre Dame go into battle against Navy. Then it's an SEC showdown of superpowers. Auburn collides with Florida. Next Saturday on CBS.
AccessNFL.com. Monday is film day.
Access NFL Films highlights.
Tuesday is the day off. I love the shop.
Access NFL Shop.
Wednesdays, we get the scouting reports.
Access player profiles and stats.
Thursdays, we're talking about the upcoming game.
Access player chats.
Friday, final roster, final preparation.
Access fantasy football.
Weekend hits, showtime.
Two of the better defenses in the league and a field goal fight. 6-3 Miami. A reminder at halftime. Jim, Mike, and Randy with all the scores and highlights. Dan, these two teams both crying out, we want to be more physical than the opposition. Where does that all, when you put your personnel together, where does that start?
Well, I think with Miami, it starts on their offensive line and this ongoing conversion to a running unit from a passing unit. Keep in mind, for nearly 2 decades with Dan Marino at quarterback, it was a pass blocking line.
Fiedler throwing to the end zone, and it is a touchdown! Leslie Shepard.
Well, Jay Fiedler found his receiver who had the man coverage, and that was Leslie Shepard, locked up one-on-one with Antoine Winfield, and it just becomes a physical contest in the end zone. Winfield's only 5'9", and it's not like Shepard is some giant at 5'11", but he times his leap perfectly, and a beautiful throw by Jay Fiedler.
And Shepard's first touchdown as a Dolphin, a free agent signee by Miami from Cleveland. Maury adds the extra point. And touchdowns are big when these two teams play. Oh. That's huge, and this field goal battle now becomes a Miami lead, 13-3. They go 57 yards in 5 plays. Here's the 20-yard touchdown pass.
And Fiedler immediately, when he sees the single coverage, you can see Shepard identifies it right away. He waves, trying to catch the attention of his quarterback, and then it's just a physical contest. And Antoine Winfield just goes up a little too soon, a little early, and Jay Fiedler has himself a passing touchdown. It's his 7th one on the season, and Fiedler so far in this game has thrown the ball very well.
And as these Dolphins get some of their wounded back in uniform and contributing, those that were the backups, Shepard being one, right? Boy, that's just going to give them so much depth.
And Dick, they're hoping to get their leading receiver, O.J. McDuffie, back on the 23rd when they play the New York Jets. O.J. McDuffie has been on the physically unable to perform list because of toe surgery. So it is a brighter picture for this receiving core and this Miami passing game in whole.
And meanwhile, the Bills trying to find a way to get a touchdown of their own as they struggle only once this year in 4 games, scoring over 16, as you pointed out on NFL Today. This is Chris Watson on the run on the short kick to the 25 and hammered down at the 27-yard line by Larry Izzo, number 53. How about that game yesterday, and more to come next Saturday. Notre Dame and Navy, Auburn, Florida, 2 top teams in our Home Depot college football doubleheader. Saturday at 12. And halftime and pregame. Tim and Spence will have all the details, their halftime report. Of course, you see them on that pregame show as well.
Chateau Brando.
Johnson downfield for Mold and almost intercepted by Sam Madison. He had great position. Madison, who had 8 interceptions 2 years ago, led the team with 7 last year, has 2 this season.
Boy, and Rob Johnson telling us yesterday that I've got to be careful because Sam Madison likes to come off underneath. When he knows he's got a little safety help over the top, he'll fall off underneath and get that interception. Guess who? Jason Taylor grabbing Rob Johnson from behind. Jason Taylor is out of the gates fast here this season.
Minute 40 seconds. A shotgun and then the handoff and short yardage is Sean Bryson, as again Miami reading it well. Kenny Mixon 79 and Rich Owens collaborating on the tackle. And time called by the Bills. 1:32 left in the half. Miami by 10. Come back with Miami leading 13-3. The Bills being stuffed by the Dolphins defense against the run. 9 rushes for 18 yards this first half. Meanwhile, Johnson's only 4 of 10.
And a unit, Dick, that's averaging almost 120 yards a game rushing.
1:32 left in the half. Johnson hit, almost fumbles. He does hang on to the ball, and Trace Armstrong has another sack. The veteran from Florida, 7.5, and here it comes again. Chasing Jason Taylor away from John Fina, the left tackle.
Well, Rob Johnson had nowhere to go, and Miami takes another timeout. Rob Johnson has nowhere to go with the football. He can't find anybody open.
Flags go down now after the play.
And Trace Armstrong just blows around the corner.
Armstrong finding the fountain of youth here in Florida at 34 years of age, the oldest defender for Miami, but leads them in sacks now with 7.5.
And you saw Reuben Brown expressing his unhappiness. Reuben is hot. It's unusual to see Reuben madder than Karl Mock.
Unsportsmanlike conduct. Number 79, offense. Long after the play was over, half the distance to the goal, still 4th down.
Reuben Brown, Pro Bowler the last 4 years.
As Bernie Kukar said, long after the play was over. There's Reuben right there. Oh, he got shoved. He got shoved by Rich Owens. Then Reuben comes back and he goes after Owens again.
It's usually the retaliation. That's the player that gets the penalty.
And very smartly, Miami took a timeout because they'll come out of this in scoring position.
4th down and 26. So Moore will kick from about his own goal line to Leslie Shepard, the touchdown maker, at the 45.
The bad blood is spilling out all over the place, Dick.
Good kick by Moore.
What a punt.
Great kick by Moore. And it's downed at the 37-yard line by Darrell Porter. 52 yards by Moore. That is a clutch kick.
And that was a dummy they threw out of that building. That was.
Now you tell me. Just when I was getting hooked on the plot.
They do that to invest. That's how they investigate. That's part of the reconstruction of a crime.
It's been the Dolphin defense again flexing its muscle. Fiedler throwing long, too long for Tony Martin, who picked up double coverage. Porter joining Ken Nervin. Coming up on the NASDAQ.com halftime report. Jim, Mike, Randy, scores of the early games, highlights. You'll also get a preview of that Oakland-San Francisco game later as part of our CBS doubleheader. All coming up on the NASDAQ halftime report.
How about Chan Gailey, the coordinator, letting Jay Fiedler take a shot on 1st down like that? This is very un-Dolphin-like.
I think he is of the St. Louis Rams.
Not quite.
Who is, huh? Fiedler able to get it off on the screen to Autry Denson, who drives out to the 39-yard line, bringing up 3rd down. We're under a minute left. You see 53 seconds left.
Great pressure up the middle there by Eric Flowers, the #1 draft choice of the Buffalo Bills. And Wade Phillips is just really high on this kid. He thinks he's going to be special.
We're down 7. Fiedler scrambles, slides. That's going to be close. The way they marked it, it's right at the yardsticks, but an immediate 1st down single by Kukar. And Fiedler will down the ball, stop the clock with 26 seconds left, and Miami at its own 47-yard line. In case you're wondering, Mare's longest ever field goal is 54. He's kicked one 48 yards this season.
And Miami has no timeouts remaining? Is that correct?
None.
None. So their options here, and Ted Cottrell, as you look at him, the Bills defense coordinator, he knows that he can give away a little action in the middle of the field, because Miami cannot stop the clock without running up and spiking it. And plus they can't get their field goal team out unless they are able to stop the clock by going to the sidelines.
They'd like to get to the 35 and give Mare a long distance shot. Fiedler underneath. Thurman Thomas wrapped up at the 44 of Buffalo. Buffalo, just shy of a first down. Fiedler trying to get his team set.
I think he's calling a play. He's not going to spike the football here.
And with 9 seconds left, he scrambles.
He's got to get to the sideline zone.
And he did not, and that should run out the clock.
Jay, you got to get to the sidelines.
There's a case of a man, even though 28 years of age, he's played so little as a starting quarterback, realizing perhaps here the answer was the quick incomplete pass to the sidelines. Nevertheless, Fiedler in Miami with a solid first half. And you saw Wanstead come to the aid of his quarterback, did some quick coaching. And Wade Phillips, Bills lead the field, and again, so hungry for something bigger than the field goal. Bonnie?
We expect a physical defense. Coach, you expect a physical defense out of your team. What's impressed you most in the first half?
Well, I mean, the game is unfolded about like we expected. You know, it's a very physical game on both sides. And, you know, we've made a few plays in the passing game, which has been the difference in the first half.
Yeah, talk about that. Fiedler's increased confidence, the touchdown to Shepard, some long balls to Emmanuel and to Gadsden.
He's hit some. We've made a couple plays, and they've taken their shots, and they've been close, and we've been fortunate. But we got a tough 30 minutes ahead of us.
Dave, thanks.
Well, the end of the first half here at Pro Player Stadium with the Miami Dolphins looking to win their 4th in a row, leading the Buffalo Bills 13-3. The only touchdown of the half. Leslie Shepard coming up on the NASDAQ.com halftime report. Join Jim Nance, Mike Detka, Greg James, all the scores next on the NASDAQ halftime report.
CBA Sports presentation of the NASDAQ.com halftime report is sponsored by NASDAQ.com, the information source for the serious investor.
All right, Jim Nance back with you from our studios here off 5th Avenue in New York, and Mike and Randy alongside. Let's get everybody up to date on all the scores, including the one they're watching. The Bills down 10 to Miami at halftime. That defense continues to dominate.
Well, we talked about how good Baltimore's defense was. This might be the best defense in the league. Right now, they are completely dominating the football game. They're taking the run away. They're taking the pass away. They're putting pressure on the quarterback. They've kind of taken the whole Buffalo offense out of the game.
That Miami defense has yielded only 2 touchdowns in 22 quarters this year. Look at this game, 10-10, and let's show you how it got there. You won't believe the last play of the half, Randy.
Well, Bledsoe's trying to get his team his first AFC East win after that big one last week in Denver. They're going to try to go down the field. That results in a pass interference penalty on Tyrone Poole. That set up a field goal situation. But right here, look at what Peyton Manning does to Marvin Harrison. Of course, Marvin Harrison. Who else? Duck! Who else do you go to, Marvin? Hey, no time left. Your last play of the game, Michael Bishop, first pass in the NFL, results in a Tony Simmons touchdown. Bad defense, but that was set up by a Simmons long return on a kickoff return right before that.
Been there, done that.
The other side of it, that is. All right, Steelers lead the Jets at halftime as Jerome Bettis scores the game's only touchdown. Bengals with 2 explosive scores, an 80-yard Dillon run and a pass interception return by Darrell Williams to lead over the Titans. Meanwhile, the Redskins have 117 yards rushing at halftime, but the Eagles tied it on a McNabb touchdown pass to Charlie Johnson, and the Lions now go up 21. Charlie Batch has thrown for 2 scores in that game. Also, it's the Saints all over the Bears. Jeff Blake has thrown for 2 scores, and he also leads the Saints in rushing with 61 rushing yards in the first half. 3 sacks for the Dolphins in the first half. Second half coming up next.
There's Zach missing the Cincinnati game. Couldn't stand it. Finally had to sit in the locker room the second half. Figure that he was a jinx being out on the sidelines when they trailed early against the Bengals.
Well, I would expect to see somewhat of a rejuvenated Buffalo offense here. I'm sure they got a talking to at halftime by Wade Phillips and Joe Pendry, their offensive coordinator. They've had trouble scoring points. Yeah, they haven't gotten it in the end zone, but they always were able to move it and rack up first downs and move it between the 20s. They haven't moved anywhere today.
Well, they'll get a chance early as Murray tees it up. Sean Bryson and Chris Watson. Bryson on the near side are deep for the Bills. taken by the up back, Jonathan Linton. Let's check that. Jay Foreman, a linebacker who picks it up and runs well to the 33-yard line. Bonnie?
Dick, Buffalo coach Wade Phillips said, because this crowd is so loud, we really need to execute more quickly on offense. But if you think the Bills are going to abandon the run, think again. He says we're going to stick with it. But also, there are times we're going to have to keep guys in to max protect. On the other side of the ball, Zach Thomas, you know, he's not coming out of the game. He just got re-taped up in the locker room.
All right, thanks, Bonnie.
You throw a tread, you don't have to put a new tire on there. You just
slap on some of that white stuff. Speaking of the white tape, we didn't mention the white pants. They haven't worn those, the Dolphins, in some 3 years. Give to Sammy Morris, the fullback. He's speeding up to get around the corner and out to the 40-yard line before Sam Madison can bump him wide. Now the Dolphins, O.J. McDuffie, although he's not active at this time, went to Coach Juan Stat and said, you know, why don't we wear the whites at home? The last time they did, they made Marino faster.
Well, remember, they made the switch several years ago to the teal pants. And I guess maybe in a physical game, maybe they thought wearing teal trousers might be an invitation to get pushed around.
Jonathan Linton, and he's just stuffed. Just nothing there at the 39-yard line. So it'll be 3rd and 5 as Kenny Mixon led the charge.
Well, one of the things that Dave Wannstedt and Jim Bates, as defensive coordinator, wanted to do was to get more beef on the defensive line. So what that involves is they started the rookie, Jermaine Haley, not the rookie, the first-year player, but he's a 305-pounder. There's Haley right there. They put him in on rundowns, put Mixon in, and take Owens out, who's a little lighter. They thought that would help them combat the heavier Bills.
Rob Johnson, and it's deflected, I believe, at the line of scrimmage. He was trying to hit Sammy Morris over the middle, but here that pass changed direction.
I think Morris zigged, and Johnson was expecting a zag. How's that for some expert analysis? Johnson was playing it like Morris was going to break to the sidelines, and Sammy broke it to the middle.
Oh, Chris Moore comes on to punt again, his 5th. He had a big punt late in the first half out of his own end zone. Ogden and Shepard deep for the Dolphins. This one is short, so Ogden comes up to get it at the 30. And he's hit at the 39-yard line by Jay Foreman. And with it, a timeout, a minute and a half into the 3rd quarter. Miami with a 13-3 lead with the ball for the first time second half at their own 38. Jay Fiedler, son of a coach, his dad a high school basketball coach for 26 years in Brooklyn, coached in fact Anthony Mason, the power forward of the Miami Heat. The toss is to Lamar Smith, and he gallops for about 8, maybe 9 yards before Henry Jones in the secondary along with Sam Cowart can make the stop. And in talking about Fiedler being a coach's son, he said, hey, all my life my dad coached and criticized me, so when Wannstedt wants to get me in a corner and tell me what I'm doing wrong, I'm used to it.
And Dave praised him along those lines, saying he's got a defensive player's mentality. I can yell at him all I want, and he doesn't take it personally.
Coaches like that when a quarterback can take it. 2nd down and 2. And the give to Smith again, and the 230-pounder barrels for a first down into Buffalo territory. Holisek and Jones with a tackle.
Oh, and right behind his rookie fullback, Dion Dyer. What a block. Dyer. There's Dyer right on the right side of your screen. Watch this. He goes right into John Holisek, stands him up, and drives him over backwards. Whoa, what a block by Dion Dyer. Watch him lock up on Holisek, number 52. Smith cuts right off of him. Boy, that's power football.
And back to Smith, who slithers through another hole and slides inside the 45 to the 44. Holisek down low with the tackle, but another 5 yards for Smith and the Dolphins. Smith among the leaders in the AFC in rushing through 5 weeks. Of course, some of the teams with byes and some without, and Miami's played the full 5 games prior to this. He has 49 yards today. Play action, Fiedler looking for Shepard, and Shepard unable to leap high enough over Antoine Winfield. Winfield's only 5'9", and Shepard a couple inches taller. Got the touchdown in the first half on that combination.
It almost looked like that ball floated on Jay Fiedler. Shepard and Winfield both have to come back to it. At this point, it almost becomes like a punt where they've got to come to a complete stop. And in that situation, we've seen this matchup before in the end zone. Shepard won it. He just came back. He misjudged it just a little bit. He came back and ended up being short in his leap on the football.
3rd and 5 at the 45 of Buffalo. Quick throw to Thurman Thomas. Thomas wrapped up on a sure ankle tackle. Ken Irvin denied the first down. No. Irvin, who played his college ball at Memphis, and a teammate there of the Rams' brilliant receiver Isaac Bruce. He said, I had to be good as a collegiate. I had to try to practice against Bruce day after day.
Who knew what was coming when Isaac got to St. Louis and hooked up with that passing attack?
Bewildered.
What we saw last week, Dick, was stunning.
And on the other side of the ball with Miami, can they stop this one? Oh, it kicks out of bounds. What a punt by Matt Turk at the 1-yard line. 41 yards for Turk. And welcome back with Miami leading by 10. The Bills, who have averaged only 1.7 yards a play. 44 total yards in the game.
That means it would take them about 50 plays to score.
They got 99 to go. Johnson from his own end zone, incomplete to Sammy Morris, the fullback.
On that last punt by Matt Turk that pinned Buffalo way down there, Trent Gamble's in perfect position. He thinks he's got the ball. Oh no. Quickly becomes, oh yeah.
Boy, am I glad I didn't touch it.
No kidding.
Perfect kick by Matt Turk, former Redskin. 2nd and 10 from the 1. Doesn't get much tougher than this for Rob Johnson and the Bills. Jonathan Linton, that's a safety. Yes, sir. Linton does not get out of the end zone, and Wade Phillips, Bills see 2 more go up on the board on Miami's side.
Boy, what a play, and I think it's the rookie. Let me double check this, but I think it's Jermaine Haley who gets into the end zone and stops Jonathan Linton. How's that for a big-time play for a rook?
Gentlemen, check it out, John. Back by popular demand. Check it out, John. On the crazy once again.
Safety in his first NFL start, Jermaine Haley. He played 5 years in the Canadian Junior Football League, lives up in British Columbia, 2 years in the CFL in Toronto, 1 year of American football in junior college at Oroville, California. He's 6'4", 305, and that was as clean a hit in the end zone, a one-man safety. And now the free kick from the 20 comes to Shepard. He's to the 35, some blocking outside, 40. Oh, what a run by Leslie Shepard to the 47-yard line before Darrell Porter and Rayon Hill can make the stop. Flag down at the 38-yard line on the return, and illegal use of the hands.
Illegal block in the back, number 32 on the return team during the run back. The 10-yard penalty, first down.
Running back J.J. Johnson ticketed with that 10-yard call.
Well, let's watch it. Haley's going to split a double team between Reuben Brown and Jerry Ostrowski. He gets his pad level down low and gets into the end zone. Boy, that is just a textbook look at how to play below the pad level of your opponents.
Haley, who's a 300-pounder, and that was a piece of very interesting strategy by Dave Wanstead to start him today, wasn't it?
Well, it's because of how physical the Bills are in their O-line.
Lamar Smith is toppled by Sam Cowart and Henry Jones. And Wanstead told us he just felt that they needed, after giving up some 190 yards last week rushing to Cincinnati, to have more beef inside.
Good look here at Sam Cowart. Wonderful mobility. Notice how he keeps his shoulders square to the line of scrimmage, doesn't commit to going upfield, which would put him in behind the play. Then when he commits to making the tackle, look at that wonderful 2-yard burst into the ball carrier. Not just to the ball carrier, into the ball carrier.
Thurman Thomas caught from behind after a 2-3-yard pickup. Monday night on CBS.
You notice that Becker doesn't really have a real positive attitude.
Bedside manner. We got to coach him a little on that.
Negative swing thought.
3rd down and 6. Fiedler under pressure steps through it. And there's no one on this side of the field. Tucks it away and has the first down at the 41-yard line. Keon Carpenter and Marcellus Wiley finally gets him to the turf. And Wade Phillips, usually very mild-mannered, cool, taciturn. He's starting to burn a little bit.
Well, you do everything right except one thing. You notice the Bills run a double line stunt with both their tackles looping to the outside. Well, that leaves a huge hole in the middle if you don't have anybody in the secondary or a linebacker who's there responsible for the quarterback if he's flushed. That's the danger of running those defensive line stunts, Dick.
We thought he had the quarterback trapped. They haven't been able to get Fiedler down. Handoff inside to Thurman Thomas. Gets a little extra after the hit to the 46-yard line. Nearly 5 more before Phil Hansen and Henry Jones can make the tackle.
Those were good hard yards for Thurman Thomas. He's hit right at the line of scrimmage, and he did keep driving. Check this out, huh?
Farmer Bill, now Dolphin.
It's not a good look, but look where he sits on that all-time leading rushers in National Football League history.
Less than 100 yards now from Franco.
Yeah.
This is Smith, and he's corralled at the 47-yard line, which will bring up 3rd down and 4. Here's a note to show you how tough the Miami defense is. They've allowed the Bills 22 yards rushing. Jay Fiedler has 28 yards scrambling.
It's a topsy-turvy world in the National Football League now. Rob Johnson, the quarterback of the Bills, is their leading rusher.
Still is.
Yeah, nobody's threatening to take that away from him. I think Sean Bryson is the closest, about 20 yards behind Johnson coming in today. Look at that. 22 yards overall for Buffalo.
Tony Martin, and he's down to the left of your screen. He's the speed. Fiedler looking for him on the comeback. He's got it. First down at the Buffalo 42 in front of Ken Irvin. Good timing between Fiedler and Martin, who hasn't played in a month.
And again, it's the speed and the deep threat that Tony Martin brings to this game. Look how Ken Irvin totally commits to going deep with Tony Martin. He turned his back completely to the line of scrimmage and goes into a full sprint with Martin. Great blocking up front. Fiedler gets a good look to the sideline. But that, again, is what Tony Martin's return means to this Dolphins passing game.
And the Bills with only measly 3 first downs in the game to 14 for Miami. This time Smith caught and dropped for a loss in the backfield by Sam Rogers, the 7-year backer from Colorado.
Well, there was an attempt to block Sam at the point of attack, a complete whiff.
It'll bring up 2nd down and 14. 15-3, the unusual score. If you're just joining us, a safety by Jermaine Haley in his first ever NFL start for the Dolphins, tackling Jonathan Linton in the Buffalo end zone. Thurman Thomas, the single back. Fiedler on top for Martin. Intercepted as Ken Irvin answers back. He allowed the short first down, but he makes the pick. His first interception of the year, and only the 4th by Buffalo all season. So the Bills stop Miami. It's 15-3.
This is O.J. McDuffie of the Miami Dolphins. He donates his time to the United Way by spending quality time with kids in his community.
Here's the deal. I'll give you Snorlax for Drowsy and Grimer.
Okay.
And a Magmar.
He's not just teaching, he's also learning.
Good.
Learning.
First, Snorlax?
And welcome back. Dick Enberg, Dan Dierdorf, Bonnie Bernstein, South Florida, where the Dolphin defense checking every attempt by Buffalo. It's 15-3. And the Bills start at the 8 after the Ken Irvin interception. Johnson out of the backfield, complete. And Eric Moulds, who's had a quiet afternoon, gets a short ball.
Well, let's check out the interception by Kenny Irvin. I remember a couple weeks ago Ted Cottrell telling us my secondary is like Roberto Duran. They have hands of stone. Well, here's Tony Martin, who really kind of misplays the football. He held up a little bit instead of running through trying to get it, and Irvin becomes the intended receiver. And no hands of stone there for Ken Irvin.
Former high hurdler in high school. Give to Linton, and again, nothing there on the ground as the defense of the Dolphins will not give a yard. In fact, this Miami defense in the second and third quarters has not allowed a touchdown all season.
Well, it's such a wonderful combination, Dick, of power play, and especially from that guy right there, Tim Bowens. Keep in mind that Daryl Gardner is still out. Exceptional range at the outside linebackers, a real headhunter in Zach Thomas in the middle, and then superior speed and cover guys back in the secondary. It's a beautiful mix.
Well, they're able to use Surtain and Madison on the corners for single coverage. That frees up. Johnson scrambling, 10. 15, and he sees the yardstick. Oh, as he pounded on at the 20-yard line. The ball was down. Zach Thomas there to make the stop. Surtain, just in case, is going to take it into the end zone.
Well, Zach a little angry that they allowed Rob Johnson to get out of there. This is a look at as to why he is the leading receiver for Buffalo. He's crafty when he comes out of the pocket. A much better scrambler than most people think.
11 yards on that play. He started with 150 on the season. So a rare first down for the Bills at their 20. Boy, all the receivers covered. So he scrambles again and heads out of bounds at the 30-yard line, close to another first down. Tim Bowens chasing it. That'll make you run. Bonnie?
Well, Dick, I've kept a really close eye on Zach Thomas the entire game with that ankle sprain he's nursing. I've seen him sit down maybe twice, always moving the foot, pointing it and flexing it. You get the impression that even when he's on the bench, he's moving that foot because he's afraid if it gets just a little bit cold, it's really going to tighten up on him.
Well, one of the things I think Miami's got to consider right now is if they're going to keep going without a spy on Rob Johnson. Wade Phillips said, Dave Wanstead said, I think our team's speed can compensate.
Bryson.
Ooh, somebody's helmet went flying.
The 34-yard line, and the helmet flies all the way out to the 40-yard line. It was Jamie Nails, the big offensive lineman from Florida A&M.
Wow. Let's take a good close look at Zach and see if he's, how he's fighting off the block. That's Ostrowski that he works around. Then he takes on Bryson. That's what you want your middle linebacker to do.
Oh, that tough tackle. His nose right into the ball carrier.
Dolphins. Ooh. Coach, you love that. Goodbye.
Kenny Mixon from LSU, untouched on the quarterback, and Johnson slow getting up.
He's not up, Dick. Rob Johnson, who's had several concussions in the past, not speculating on anything, but he has been injury prone. Boy, did he take a shot from Kenny Mixon. And yes, Doug Flutie is the second quarterback. He is the backup. The first time this year that Doug Flutie, after that serious groin injury, has worked his way up to the backup quarterback.
Boy, he didn't even see Mixon, who has 2.5 sacks now on the year. And I don't know if the blood was from the elbow, a previous wound, or whether it was he was feeling for his chin. And now that play clock down to 15 already. Now it's just on the elbow. Third down and long. 5 seconds. They get it off in time. And the field is wide open. He's at the 40, the 50, and slides at the Miami 49-yard line. Rob Johnson, the Walter Payton of the Buffalo Bills running game.
Well, I think we I think that when we talked earlier about the fact, let's take a look at the right here. Look how it's going to open up in the middle. Right there, Rob Johnson with the pump draws the spy right here, and he's just going to, in this case, it's just athleticism. He's just going to run away. Is that Jason Taylor? If that's Jason Taylor that was chasing Rob Johnson, they went to the spy with Taylor as the spy, and he just got outran.
So on a 12-yard, a 10-yard, and a 23-yard run by the quarterback, Rob Johnson. Jonathan Linton, meanwhile, gets only a yard as he swings around the left side, and Sam Madison at the corner makes the stop. Well, Rob Johnson leading his team in rushing on the season and leading again today. Almost all the yards on this march from inside the 10-yard line belonging to the legs of Johnson. Total of 44 yards.
Well, Buffalo offense has shown more life here than they have the entire game.
There you have it. 14.7-yard average. The 3 rushes coming or scrambles on this possession. And now into Miami territory at the 49. And the throw and open is McDaniel, but led by a step too far. Terrence Shaw, the 5th defensive back, the nickel, on the coverage.
And Terrence Shaw was looking over to Brian Walker. He had the look of a guy that was expecting some safety help that wasn't there.
Johnson with only 47 yards passing and rushing with 44.
Well, he'd like another go around at that, Dick. He had a wide open receiver, just didn't execute.
Mixon late coming into the game. 3rd down and 10. Oh my, what else is going to go wrong? Bad snap, and Trace Armstrong will accept a freebie. That'll go as a sack for him. Jason Taylor was just a little late. Armstrong there first.
Well, Johnson lifted his leg to signal the silent snap count. It's really a good snap by Ostrowski. That's not, he puts it right on the hands of Rob Johnson, and for some reason, whether he's distracted or not, Rob Johnson just mishandles the ball.
And a 3, 15-3 Miami. A word from your local station. From the start of the 4th quarter here at Pro Player Stadium, where the Dolphins defense dominating 15-3. There are the standings in the AFC East. The Jets currently down by a touchdown to Pittsburgh, as Miami looking to move into a share first place. Moore through a heavy rush to Leslie Shepard at the 18 fair catch. 43-yard punt, no return by Chris Moore. Now we're underway in the 4th in South Florida. The Dolphins leading by 12. The quarterbacks, Alex Van Pelt, Rob Johnson in the mist machine on the far sidelines, and looking at that Miami defense must be a bit cloudy as well.
Their offense has been in a fog all game.
Lamar Smith out to the 22-yard line, a gain of about 3. And Dan Deerdorf on NFL Today pointed out that the below average Buffalo offense scoring more than 16 only once, that in the Green Bay win, and only 3 today. And getting that field goal on a Steve Christie 45-yarder in the opening quarter. Meanwhile, it's been Miami that has outrushed the Bills. Fiedler almost picked off. Oh, through the hands of Antoine Winfield. He had it.
I just don't think that thing was a rifle shot coming at Winfield. You could hear the sound clear up here in the booth as it bounces off his shoulder pads. Just a simple little slant, but it's so late in coming, and Gadsden came in there and just stopped, that Winfield is able to play this ball. Well, it just has so much on it, Winfield can't handle it.
And it's like running into a punch.
Oh,
there's no time to react.
You're right. You don't get many chances, though, at an interception like that.
3rd down and 7. Thurman Thomas into the pattern now, and wide open is Tony Martin, off his fingertips, incomplete. A little bit too much to the outside from Fiedler.
Well, again, this Miami passing game, Tony Martin has been hurt. Remember, Jay Fiedler with the hip problem missed most of training camp. There's no timing in this passing game on the deep routes, and it's going to take it's going to take the course of this season to try to develop between quarterback and receiver. But it was an unfortunate set of events, starting with the retirement of Dan Marino, that has really caused this problem.
Turk's punt to Chris Watson, who's going to fair catch it at the Buffalo 40-yard line with Trent Gamble right in his face. 38 on the punt. Timeout. A minute 6 seconds gone. Fourth quarter. Welcome back. A couple of field goals, a safety, and a touchdown. Miami leading 15-3. Second half of our doubleheader. There are 4 games on CBS. Stay tuned for more NFL action. Many of you will see the Raiders at San Francisco. Rob Johnson, 47 yards passing, 44 rushing, and the 44 coming on that last possession. Johnson underneath and incomplete through the hands of Peerless Price. Had Surtain the closest defender. It's 15-3 here. What's happening elsewhere, Jim Nance?
All right, we've got the Patriots moving in front of the Colts as Drew Bledsoe does a great job here getting this pass away with pressure. Eric Bjornsson hauls it in early fourth quarter. Patriots on top. Back to Dick and Dan.
All right, Jim, and New England off to a slow start, awakening. They start today 1-4 and will meet the Jets next week.
I would call opening 0-4 a slow start. Aren't you being kind?
Screen is complete to Bryson. 40, 50 with a blocker. 45 down the sidelines and finally knocked out of bounds at the 28-yard line. Biggest play of the day for the Buffalo Bills. Sean Bryson.
Well, we saw the Miami Dolphins execute a screen pass to Thurman Thomas a while ago. Now it's the Bills' turn. Zach Thomas got held up a little bit by the official, but he's out there all alone. He needs a little help, and Brian Walker just doesn't make the tackle on Sean Bryson. But you're asking an awful lot to have Zach Thomas out there and have to take on 2 linemen all by himself.
Trailing by what they need, 2 touchdowns. The Bills are inside the Miami 30. Molds in motion. Johnson down the middle to the tight end Collins to the 4-yard line. Brian Walker and Robert Jones made the tackle. 23 on that play.
Well, and they got a little production from the tight end position. Remember, Jay Riemersma is still out with the knee, and Bobby Collins, his replacement, wide open down the middle. And you know, as a tight end, it's impossible to catch that pass and not get a big lick laid on you. You might as well hold on to it, Dick.
North Alabama. They mark it at the 5-yard line. Johnson scrambling and looking. Incomplete. Back of the end zone, Sammy Morris. Tim Bowens applying the pressure from that defensive tackle spot.
And Sammy Morris really well covered. This was superior work by the Miami secondary. They've got everybody blanketed. Here's Bobby Collins again, the tight end who just caught the long pass. Right there, Pat Surtain is just, you're allowed that extra contact down in the end zone.
It's just a basketball play, a smaller man defending in the hole, but defending well.
Buffalo's problem here, they've had to settle for field goals this season, not touchdowns.
On 2nd and goal, Johnson deep and over the head of Peerless Price. That was designed not to get sacked and to throw it away. And Johnson, as he threw the ball, nailed by Jason Taylor and Trace Armstrong.
And everybody's still on the ground. Taylor's still on the ground. Armstrong is still on the ground. Ooh. And that's a case where when Taylor hit Johnson's in the middle, but Armstrong and Taylor did some damage to each other, if you can imagine that. You think to yourself, how's it possible that Rob Johnson survives that?
212-pound cushion. He was the frosting in the Oreo.
He doesn't have that much meat on his bones, and now he's got to take a timeout.
So on 3rd and goal at the 5, Wade Phillips and his quarterback will talk it over. A big opportunity for the Bills. Well Welcome back, 15-3. Miami leads Buffalo at the 5-yard line, 3rd and goal. Yet to rush for a touchdown this year, the Buffalo Bills. Johnson has to throw it away.
And in an unusual situation, Rob Johnson gets knocked completely over backwards. Rob Johnson, I'm telling you, Dick, he gets hit. I'm not sure there's a quarterback in football that gets hit more than Rob Johnson. Again, take a look at the pressure right here. He's got nowhere to go. Kenny Mixon is in on him. And one more time, the Buffalo Bills now have to settle for an attempted field goal.
23 yards, and Christie, no more than an extra point, has the 3, but Miami's defense in the red zone is still pure. That's the 6th time. Goal to go, yet to give a touchdown this year.
One's visual, and you have the lead on the right. Okay, got the lead on the right. The fight's on. Left 9 now. Coming home. You got the airspeed on me. Visual. Oh, there you are. Darn, I was hoping you wouldn't see me. It's my turn to gun track. Let's do that one again. Okay?
Just in case you didn't catch the number the first time.
Welcome back. Miami's lead 9. Buffalo unable to get into the end zone, and Christie kicks to Brock Marion, the veteran safety, at the 15. And cut down at the 26-yard line. Rion Hill and Jay Foreman with a tackle.
Well, we've been talking all game about the effectiveness of this Miami defense. Boy, are they tight. Look at that. 2 touchdowns all season long. And again, Buffalo, it looked like they were in prime position, not able to stuff it in. Think this guy has much of anything to do with that?
He's the ringleader.
Wow.
Zach Thomas. Their defense in the red zone just almost impeccable. 15 times opponents in the red zone, they've given up just 2 touchdowns. And Lamar Smith running into a crowd of Bills at the 27. Bonnie Bernstein.
All right, well, Dick, if you look at the field between the numbers, it's a little bit nicked up, but not bad considering the fact that this week the Dolphins ground crew had to totally re-sod the field, 70,000 square feet. Of course, the baseball's Florida Marlins play here now that the season's over. They had to take the infield out, and between Monday night and Tuesday, I'd say Miami got pelted with 14 inches of rain. So all things considered, this field's held up pretty well today, Dick.
Oh, it's been remarkable that it's in such a good condition.
And you know what? They bought the sod from Greg Norman, who has a sod farm. Greg Norman, the golfer. Cha-ching.
Thurman Thomas struggles out to the 32-yard line, where it'll be 3rd down and about 4. Henry Jones makes another tackle for Buffalo. Well, tonight on 60 Minutes, Tina Sinatra on her father's last days, the woman she wishes he hadn't married, and what he and the mob did for Jack Kennedy. That's all tonight on 60 Minutes. Thurman Thomas today, 24 yards rushing, 27 receiving, contributing to this Miami offense as primarily a 3rd down back, but not in on 3rd down on this occasion. Autry Denson with Fiedler. Fiedler throws over the middle, incomplete, no flag, and almost on the deflection, intercepted. That was Darrell Porter, number 22, diving in front of Bert Emanuel.
Ooh, an unhappy crowd here at Pro Player. Let's play official here. There's Emanuel. Oh, that's interference. Ooh, I think we all came to that conclusion at the same time.
They were replaying on the big television, scoreboard television, as we were watching.
Oh, Darrell Porter went right through Bert Emanuel to go to the football.
Break for the Bills, who now will get the ball on the punt from Turk to Watson, who lets that end over end bounce. So that'll roll for Miami to the 18-yard line. 50 yards, no return, timeout, 10 minutes, 6 seconds left in the fourth. 15-6, Miami.
Start with
Hands like Chris Carter.
Jerry Rice's hands.
Fred Biletnikoff's hands.
For body-wise,
Isaac Bruce.
Yeah.
my side,
Peter Works, agility.
agility-wise, probably Marvin Harrison.
Hustle,
Randy Moss. The breakaway speed of Rocket Ishmael.
eyes, I'll have to go with Tim Brown.
Jimmy Smith's heart.
Heart.
Wayne Corbett. My heart.
Well, I take Isaac Bruce's competitive nature. That would be a receiver I'd like to have on my team.
He will probably set records that are actually unheard of.
And welcome back to South Florida, where the Dolphins lead it 15-6. And total yardage picking up a little bit for the Bills here in the second half, and Miami quiet.
And both of these teams taking note of the fact that Pittsburgh has now moved out to a 17-3 lead on the Jets, the undefeated Jets.
We'll get an update on that shortly as Johnson throws, and a fine catch by Jeremy McDaniel, an undrafted free agent from Arizona a year ago by the Bills. Let's go to New York and Jim Nantz.
All right, let's show you how they got there, fellas. Cordell Stewart will throw the Steelers' first touchdown pass of the season. Bobby Shaw hauls it in, and it's a 14-point lead with 8 minutes to go. Back to Dick and Dan.
All right, thanks, Jim. Steelers trying to go 2-3 on the season for Bill Cowher. First down, Buffalo at their 27. Long throw, going for Price, and he has it. Fearless Price down to the 27-yard line as he beats Terrence Shaw, the nickelback. Member of the national champion Tennessee Vols, Peerless Price.
Well, it's just mano-a-mano, locked up one-on-one. Boy, and take a look. That was just a perfect throw from Rob Johnson. Here comes Zach on the blitz. He gets by the offensive line, and one more time, Rob Johnson takes a pretty good shot and ends up on the ground.
41-yard play from Johnson. So the Bills now coming up with some big strikes here in the fourth quarter. Blitz on again. And the throw incomplete to Eric Moulds, and a flag goes down as the official ruling that the defender, Pat Surtain, crowded Moulds at the 5-yard line. Robert Jones putting pressure on the quarterback. And the last possession, Johnson hit Bryson for 32, and Bobby Collins, the tight end, for 23, and settled for a field goal. And now a 41-yard Johnson.
Pass interference, 23 defense. First down.
Well, the 41-yard pass to Peerless Price, and then this penalty on Surtain.
Well, I think what they're going to say is that Surtain cuts off Moulds without playing the football. In other words, you can see he moves into Moulds, stops Moulds from going downfield, but he wasn't doing it on a path to the football. That is interference.
First and goal at the 3. The give is to Sammy Morris. Good straight arm and a touchdown. Only the third of the season scored against the Miami defense, and the first rushing touchdown of the year for Wade Phillips Bills.
Boy, and Morris put a good shot on Sam Madison, the corner coming up to try to make the tackle. Now picture this coming right at you. You're Sam Madison, number 29. You're going to try to make the tackle. There's Surtain with the miss, and Madison gets the stiff arm from Sammy Morris. The Rook's in the zone.
First NFL touchdown for the Texas Tech rookie. Christie's extra point, and the Bills suddenly are only 2 points behind Miami as they go 82 yards in 3 plays and a penalty. And for young Sammy Morris III, who was born in Oxford, England, maybe that's where he learned that straight arm, you know, playing cricket.
You think I did it? I've watched a few cricket matches. I haven't seen a lot of straight arms.
You got to look closely. Good job, and had enough speed to kick out of the tackle as well. That's why they liked him. He had a big game in the preseason that won him a job on the roster, 101-yard game against the Eagles.
Maybe he built up those arms. Maybe he was doing some crew over there at Oxford. Maybe he was stroke. Well, this is the fullback of the future of the Buffalo Bills. I think everyone's in agreement on that point.
He was a 5th-round pick. A reminder.
Appears to me that Sammy has a special bonus for scoring that touchdown. Now gets to cover a kickoff. when you're a rookie, you do more than just play from scrimmage. You do everything else.
A reminder coming up next, the second half of our doubleheader. Here are the 4 games here on CBS. As Christie with plenty of time left, 8:34. And the kick comes down to Brock Marion. 15-20 and knocked out of bounds by Freddie Jones at the 30-yard line. Out of bounds. They spot the ball at the 29, and suddenly some pressure on this Miami offense to hold the ball and chew up some clock. The Bills are hot in the 4th quarter. And it's Lamar Smith who does just that as he vaults across the 35-yard line and then rejected by Big Ted Washington and John Holasek. Bills striking long and quickly. 82 yards in 3 plays with Morris punching it in from 3 yards.
Well, you get the long completion to Price, and then you get the long interference call on Surtain, and that'll move you right down the field. Boy, how good it feels for an offensive team to start off by picking up 7 yards on first down. Boy, that's a collective sigh in the huddle.
And Fiedler throws to the tight end at the 40, and pushed back is Hunter Goodwin.
That'll be enough for a first, I think. Forward progress.
They marked it right at the 40. Yes, it will be a first down. Goodwin's 2nd catch of the entire season. He's 270 pounds from Texas A&M.
When you ask your coach to describe a player, you know he's not a big part of the pass offense when the coach says that Hunter Goodwin is a blocking machine.
You don't even ask the next question.
No, not many blocking machines are a team's leading receiver.
Dyer, the blocker, as well, in motion. And the give and tackle in the backfield. Lamar Smith as Phil Hansen. Good penetration and the hit. Let's go to an update to New York.
All right, Dick, wild happenings again in the AFC East. The Jets are down, and the Colts give up another touchdown to Bledsoe. Terry Glenn, yes, he's in for the score. Up 11 now with 7 minutes to go. Let's go back to Dick and Dan.
All right, Jim, trying to scramble this AFC East today.
Well, what a pretty catch by Terry Glenn.
Meanwhile, 15-13 Miami leads. 6.5 minutes in this 4th quarter. Fiedler on 2nd down and long underneath. Short yardage as Lamar Smith makes the catch, and Sam Cowart yet another tackle along with John Holasek, the 2 backers for Buffalo.
Boy, these 2 teams are still smacking each other. When you're as far away from the field as we are, and you have a headset on, and you can still feel and you can still hear the sounds of this game, and these are violent collisions, one after the other. There will be take a number to get into one of the whirlpools up in Orchard Park and here in Miami. I can tell you that these guys will be sore.
3rd and 6. Fiedler under pressure, throws underneath. Thurman can't get away. Or it's Leslie Shepard who made the catch, but Henry Jones with a very tough open field tackle. And credit Marcellus Wiley from his defensive end position pressuring the quarterback.
Well, there's a reason why this Fighting Illini has been in the NFL for 10 years. That's good work by Henry Jones. Almost overran it, but had enough body control to come back and get his arm on Shepard and drag him back.
So Matt Turk to punt for the 6th time. Chris Watson back for Buffalo. Watson at the 16 and hit rudely by Trent Gamble, who's becoming a special team star here in Miami.
Hit rudely. You heard me say earlier that Dave Wanstead thought that young Mr. Gamble here reminds him of Bill Bates. Yes, sir. They ran him clear out of bounds. When you're out of bounds, the only thing the NFL says is you must make your best effort to get back in as quickly as possible. Brent Gamble did just that.
A Dolphin missile honing in on target.
Well, you've got to be so excited, Dick, when you're about 10 yards away and you know the guy hasn't signaled for that fair catch, and you're thinking to myself, this is it. This is the one I've been dreaming about.
So at the 16, Buffalo needing a field goal for the lead and plenty of time. Just under 5 minutes remain. Johnson scrambling and then dumps it off at the last minute to Morris, who sheds one tackle, fumbles the ball, and it goes right in the arms of number 29, Sam Madison. Touchdown, Miami.
The Miami defense gets their second score of the day as the rookie makes a rookie mistake. Jermaine Haley scores a safety and Sam Madison a touchdown.
Wade Phillips still trying to discern how did that happen, as Morris did a good job of getting away from the initial hit, and then Kenny Mixon following the play jarred it free, and Madison with a free run to the end zone. Murray's try for point. And like that, a 2-point game becomes a Miami 9-point lead, 22-13.
I saw Morris talking to James Saxon, his running back coach, over on the sideline. Let's take a look at it right here. Johnson scrambling. You see Morris doing a good job. First he blocks Thomas, and then he makes himself a target. So he did everything right up to that point. Didn't get the ball put away cleanly, but here it comes. Right there. There's the hit by Pat Surtain, which didn't appear to be an overly violent hit and wasn't directly on the football, but it was enough to knock it loose right to Madison.
18 yards on the touchdown for Madison, and there's the teamwork of Madison and Surtain, who would argue that they're the best pair of corners in the league. They play almost 90% single coverage and allow a 9-man pressure, and that's why this Miami defense is so tough against the run.
Well, you really feel bad for a youngster like Sammy Morris, who's been having a heck of a game and really did everything right there, Dick. You know, he blocked for his quarterback. He tied up Zach Thomas. He got loose, became a target. He was there for his quarterback. Everything right up to the last millisecond when Surtain knocks it loose.
So with a 22-13 lead, 4:45 left. Murray to Bryson and Watson. Bryson fights his teammate off and takes it out to the 20, the 21-yard line, 22. Let's look at the touchdown again.
Just when Buffalo had all the momentum going their way. There's Morris again. You see him fighting off Thomas. Zach commits to Johnson. It's not, you expect a helmet right on the football, and that's really not the case. Surtain's right arm kind of hit the left arm of Sammy Morris, but it wasn't right on the ball, just a little careless with it.
And watch Madison.
Oh, thanks a lot. Sam Madison is merely a spectator on that play. He's not going to have to do a thing, and talk about right place, right time.
Morris is in the game, out as a flanker, and they throw to him, incomplete. Broken up by Brock Marion.
That wasn't a case where Brock was taking off his helmet to showboat, although he's doing a little of that right now. It just came off in contact.
Marion, the former Cowboy, played his college ball at Nevada. Dad played in the league with the Steelers as a wide receiver.
Played for Jimmy Johnson in Dallas, and Jimmy, of course, brought him here.
In spread formation with Morris in the backfield. 3 wide receivers.
And the Bills are staying with Morris and letting him stay in the game. Good for them.
Johnson throws down the middle. Wide open is Price. And the young man named Peerless, when his mother during pregnancy saw a moving van go through town, said Peerless Moving Company. Said, I wonder what that means. Looked it up and said, without peer, without equal. That'll be my son's name.
Somebody other than Peerless told you that story, you wouldn't believe it.
That's right.
But we heard it from his own lips.
41-yard line, first down. That was a 19-yard gain. 3:57 left in the fourth. Watch out. Trace Armstrong, is he having a season? That's 3 today. He's got 9.5 on the season.
Trace somehow unblocked. How do you leave? How do you leave a team's leading sacker unblocked? A blocking confusion on the right side of the Bills' offensive line between Robert Hicks and Sean Bryson, the running back to that side.
Well, they total up the stats this week. He might well be leading the league.
You don't ever let the big guys run free. Another
Johnson hit as he throws, intercepted. This could be another score. It is Rich Owens, the defensive lineman from Lehigh.
And Rob Johnson, look at him grab his right arm.
They're going to motion that his arm was going forward, and it was not a fumble. Not a fumble. They'll bring that one back. And
again, folks, a reminder that Rob Johnson with real tendonitis in his elbow, and he's grabbing his arm, and I'm not sure he can keep going. Rob Johnson, I think, is going to take himself out of the game.
Kenny Mixon was the man who made the hit.
Yep.
And
hit his arm right in that throwing motion, Dick. And that's when a quarterback's elbow is so vulnerable, and Rob Johnson in real pain.
Said he's probably going to have an operation after the year anyway. Well, Doug Flutie enters the game 3rd and 21, an enviable position. Big star in Buffalo. He had many comeback efforts last year. Scrambling, and how he can do that. Firing downfield and wide open, and that'll be enough for a first down to Jeremy McDaniel. Oh my, Flutie.
Are you surprised?
First play of the season for him.
Are you surprised? I'm not.
25 yards to McDaniel.
Serious groin injury at the very beginning of training camp. Doug Flutie out all this time. Finally, this is the first game that he was really available where he was the backup quarterback.
4 wide receivers, steps up, throws, and it hits a lineman, incomplete. Trying to get it to Sammy Morris. Stops the clock. Now that becomes a major factor with Miami leading by 9. 2 minutes and 44 seconds left. Buffalo has 2 timeouts remaining.
Meanwhile, one of the Buffalo players is down on the field. Rob Johnson looked like he was trying to come back in. He'd buttoned up his chin strap.
John Fina, the lineman, is the injured Bill on the field.
Oh, look at him jump when the trainer moved his arm just a little bit. Look at him. Oh, geez.
You said it so well, Dan. The admiration a lineman would have for a quarterback that tough. How he can take the punishment. And
well, right now, John Fina, the left tackle, he's up. John Fina's at the complete right of your screen, number 70 there. He's getting driven back towards Doug Flutie, and Flutie kind of, you know, in an effort to move up. And at the end of the play, John Fina just collapses.
You wonder if that might be from the heat as much as anything.
He was on his feet at the end of the play and took a step or two to the side, and his legs just kind of buckled.
Blinking his eyes as if dizzy. As Johnson, who wants back in, trying to show his coaching staff that he can still fire the football.
Well, there is no denying the toughness of Rob Johnson. I tell you, when you meet with this guy, you feel like there ought to be a fife and bugle corps preceding him on the way into the meeting room. He has got more scars and scabs and nicks and bumps and bruises.
From the Miami 45, 2nd and 10 for Flutie. Into the flat, incomplete, intended for McDaniel. Surtain covering. Daniel said I should have had it.
Somebody's got to make plays. When you're trying to win a game, this is the National Football League. Somebody's got to make plays.
Tonight on 60 Minutes, Tina Sinatra on her father's last days, the woman she wishes he didn't marry, and what the mob did for President Kennedy. Tonight on 60 Minutes, followed by Touched by an Angel, and the movie Sunday Night, Personally Yours, stars Valerie Bertinelli. Appeared to be offside, but no flag. And again to McDaniel, who heads for the sideline, steps out at the 35, right at the sticks. This is going to be close. Surtain, the defender.
The Buffalo Bills are going on a silent snap count because of the crowd noise, and Jason Taylor is all over this snap count. He's getting a great jump. Here's McDaniel working out of the slot against Surtain. Pat stumbles, and that's what allows McDaniel to be open.
4th down and inches for the Bills, and they must make this down by 9. And haven't been able to run the ball that effectively. And Morris had the first down, then almost ran back for a loss, fights to the 31 as the first down yardage.
I'm with you, Dick. When he made that one move and gave up ground, I'm going, whoa, Sammy, you are running the risk of having to walk back to Buffalo.
I believe the roar from the PA announcement of the Jets score, losing to the Pittsburgh Steelers. Miami win, Jets loss, ties them.
They didn't get
the
this
lead.
off.
And that's the 2-minute warning. Didn't quite beat that whistle. 2 to go. Miami by 9. Thanks to the fumble and touchdown run, 18 yards by Sam Madison. It's not a 2-point game, but a 9-point advantage.
Yeah, and a lot of pressure now on Doug Flutie, and you know, bigger questions. You think about, you know, forget this game. You wonder what's going to go on with Rob Johnson's right arm and that elbow, where they go in the future here. Doug Flutie, well, we've seen his miracles before, but he's got to get this team in the end zone pretty quickly.
Including the one in 1984 as a Boston College quarterback, that Hail Mary. He fires this one over the middle. Incomplete, intercepted. Jerry Wilson at the 30 and falls at the 36. Wilson's first pick of the year.
Well, it was a good throw by Doug Flutie right to Eric Moulds. Eric Moulds should have caught the ball. At least my first impression was that it was a very catchable ball. Let's check it out. There's Moulds in the slot. He's going to make his break to the middle, working against Jerry Wilson. Well, Doug Flutie can't throw it any better than that. I said before, you're in a position, this is the NFL, big-time players have to make big plays. And Doug Flutie did his part. He got the ball right to Eric Moulds, and he mishandles it, and another Dolphin interception.
Now the Bills with a costly fumble that went for a touchdown, and now the interception to drive stopped by the Bills. And the ball at the 36-yard line. Fiedler to Smith. And Lamar Smith out to the 39-yard line, and Buffalo will spend its second timeout. 1 left. More football to come on CBS. Second half of the doubleheader waiting for you. Most of you will see Oakland and San Francisco. 49ers with a couple of wins in a row, and many feel the Raiders are the team to beat now out in the West.
Miami next week has a bye. Dave Wanstead says I'll practice the team on Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. A little lighter than usual. Then I'll give them Friday, Saturday, and Sunday off. They can sit home and watch some football. The Bills go home next week, where they will host the San Diego Chargers. And if Buffalo does not win this game, as we talked about at the beginning, Dick, they're in that really bad spot of being 0-3 in the division.
And Miami would be 2-0 with the Jets losing out of the division, if indeed they did get defeated by Pittsburgh today. Smith, who has been the workhorse for Miami, to the 39-yard line. A look at the AFC Eastern standings as Buffalo spends its final timeout. The Jets, should they lose, I don't know if that is a final yet or not, would be 2-1.
The Jets were 4-0 coming in.
Okay, all right.
Right. And the Miami score, the Miami Dolphins would move to 5-1 if they win this game, and the Bills would drop to 2-3.
But more importantly, Miami and the Jets would be 2-0 in the division, and Buffalo 0-3. So pressure on Buffalo. And you know, they even in talking with them were saying, hey, home field advantage, playoffs. They were already thinking that far ahead coming into this very important test against Miami.
Well, this has been, I think everybody would agree to this point, a very successful transition from Jimmy Johnson to Dave Wanstead. Dave had the luxury of being here last year. He said, I didn't have to rely on hearsay. I saw these guys play for a whole year. I knew who could and who couldn't.
Fake to Smith, and Fiedler keeps it, and will go down at the 40, bringing up 4th down, but Buffalo no timeouts left, so the clock will run. 1:19 currently.
And that was an unplanned bootleg out of there by Jay Fiedler, because he had a receiver to that side, Leslie Shepard, who was out there trying to block. Wasn't he? He didn't even know his quarterback was back there running with the football.
And even though the Bills will get the ball, impossible task facing them. No timeouts left and down by more than a touchdown and 2-point play. Watson drifts back inside the 20. Turk will let the clock run. 8 seconds left yet on the play clock. And they'll take the penalty, a delay of game, 5 yards, but they used up
4th down.
The clock is down to 41 seconds.
See, now, why did Miami just call a timeout when it got down to 1 second? Why give away 5 yards? They've got 3 timeouts. Obviously, they don't need them. Why not stop the clock and save yourself 5 yards?
10 men on the line of scrimmage for Buffalo. Watson, the only man back. And Turk gets it off. High dying spiral, fair catch. Watson at the 33-yard line. Clock stops with 34 seconds. Let's take a look at the game summary, with Miami dominating on defense, especially that first half.
Well, Buffalo did their best to try to make something happen in the second half. They were just completely overwhelmed by the Dolphins in the first half. They got some spark. Remember, it got started when Rob Johnson, like on 3 consecutive plays, took off out of the backfield and ran for first downs. This was a team that was literally being choked by the Dolphins, and now it's Doug Flutie's unenviable task of trying to survive the last 34 seconds and at the same time try to move his team down the field.
Steps up and is caught from behind. Another sack for Armstrong. Unofficially, that's his 4th of the game. Now they're going to say now that he got a half earlier, so 3.5, which would give him 10 for the year.
Well, Trace is the beneficiary of the great line play of Owens and Bowens, Mixon and Taylor, because he doesn't have to play every down.
Pass to Moulds at the 40, and down he goes with 9 seconds, and that'll probably be the last play of the game, as Miami's Dolphins have won 4 in a row. Their defense so imposing, and Doug Flutie battling to the very end, trying to squeeze out one more play, but that's it. The Dolphins, with the win, move up into a tie with the New York Jets. Well, make that the Jets with already their bye 4-1. Miami now 5-1 in the AFC East, and they will be meeting in a couple of weeks up north.
And Trace Armstrong is so exhausted that he is barely able to get to his feet and walk to the locker room.
And stay tuned. The NFL Today post-game show with Jim, Mike, and Randy. All the scores and highlights. Some upsets today in the National Football League, not here in Miami. And indeed, that heat index was the 12th man for Miami. They're so tough to beat September, October. That's it from Pro Player Stadium, where the Dolphins have defeated the Buffalo Bills 22-13. Now stay tuned for the NFL Today post-game show.